Yo, what's going on, everyone? Welcome into another episode of Capturing the Games, the Game Within the Game podcast featuring me, your host, Desmond Jones, and my man's aka Polo God himself, Juwan Stewart. So uh before we get started, I just want to remind everyone that Capturing the Game is sponsored by Capture Sports Agency, where the CEO and founder is Shantas Jones. Now that we got the introductions out the way, I present to you the general manager of the Fort Wayne Mad Ants. His name is CT Taylor. CT, man, what's going on, man? Welcome in. Thank you for jumping in with us
Thank you,
today.
guys. I appreciate you having me.
No problem, no problem. I know you probably laughed behind the introduction for my man, for my coach Jawan, but I'll let Jawan explain the story for himself. So you can be know why he is the polo god, Jawan Stewart.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, so I mean basically some of that is just because I wear Ralph Lauren polo all the time. So it's been my brand for a long time. I got it all splattered through my house. So that's why they call me Polo Man, Polo God, whatever. I don't even put the God on there because that's a whole different thing out there. That's next level. I just Polo Man, keep it at that. We good and I can move forward. That's it.
You got to have a brand. I understand that.
Exactly. What's your brand? You got a favorite brand?
I got to go with Nike.
I feel that.
Sponsor deal,
I feel that. So we're going to talk about this later on in the show, but you got a favorite like shoe with Nike?
Ooh, it's a great question. I love old school. I love the Air Jordan 7s.
Ooh.
Okay.
He went back. He went to 7s. Okay. All right. Okay.
Not a normal favorite, I feel like, but
most people say the Concords or the ones. Most people just stick with the traditionals, but 7s that's a different one right there. I get that.
That's still a nice looking shoe, regardless. Though, is there any particular colorway?
Man, I do love the like the Olympic colorway, just that classic red, white, and blue. But I'm a big blue fan. Any color blue way, or any blue colorway, I'm in.
Okay. All right, let's go ahead and kick it off because we're about to go down a whole rabbit hole.
Oh yeah.
but man, CT, man, can you go ahead and tell the audience a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, like you said in the introduction, I was just officially named GM of the Mad Ants a couple weeks ago. It's been a whirlwind couple weeks, but really excited for the opportunity. This is my 9th season with the Pacers as a whole. But I guess rewind before that, I'm from a small town in Maine, little coastal town, Calais. Incredibly proud of that. Just grew up loving the game, more than anything, playing, watching, studying, anything. And for as long as I could remember, kind of my goal was to try to work in the NBA. I had a pretty realistic view early on that I wasn't going to be able to play at that level. So I kind of try to switch my focus and do everything I could to find myself in a position to work professionally in the league. So fast forward, I went to college in a small school in Boston, Emerson College. Got very lucky while I was there. Got on with an internship with the Celtics. Initially kind of thought how I'd get my foot in the door of the league was on the business side, just because those, as an outsider, it seemed like those jobs were more prevalent and, could go to school for a marketing degree and then see that translate. And then, hopefully make my way over to basketball where my true passion lied. So initially with the Celts, I was kind of on corporate sponsorships and in-game promotions, but it was a way to get my foot in the door at the Garden for every home game during my 4 years in college. So just tried my best to network and ask the right people the right questions and just kind of learn from everybody's path, how they got to where they were, which was obviously my goal. And then after I graduated, again, just got lucky with landing a position with the Maine Red Claws, now the Maine Celtics. They were rewind it in that year, it was the developmental league, so the NBDL. And they were the affiliate of the Celtics, the 76ers, and the Bobcats. So that's dating myself that the Bobcats aren't even a thing anymore.
Right.
But again, was doing business side, kind of fan engagement, in-game promotions, that kind of thing. But really made it known that my goal was to make the jump to basketball. and kind of got lucky. I think it was maybe my second week on the job. Our head video coordinator got a call up to the Sixers, and then there was an opening. Kind of everybody shifted around, and they asked if I'd have any interest in helping out on the basketball side as well. So I jumped on that. Kind of pulled double duty for the season, helping out with everything from selling tickets, throwing promotional items up into the fans, during the games, but then also helping out with a little bit on court, doing some video stuff, picking the guys up from the airport, basically anything that we asked. I hate to admit this, but I even wore the mascot uniform a few times. Just like anything that they needed. And I dove into and believed the propaganda. They were like, man, you can tell an NBA team that you're willing to do anything. You even did this. And then once I made it to the NBA, I told the story, and they're like, they sold you on that. We do not care that you were wearing the mascot, but good for you. It makes for a good story, which is funny. And then so I did that for a year, and then stayed in touch with a lot of contacts throughout the NBA. Just kind of expressed my desire to take that jump, and explained what I had learned over the course of the season, after being my first full year fully engulfed in the pro level, and then got awarded a summer basketball operations internship with the Pacers. Kind of dove right into draft prep, free agency prep, summer league prep, and helping out with like a lot of operational components that before I was in it, I didn't even realize that they were parts of the business. And I guess fortunately I was a good culture fit, because at the end of that internship, they offered me a full-time position. Again, it was just kind of right place, right time. And here we are. I've held a few different positions in basketball operations for the Pacers. And then when we purchased the Mad Ants a few years ago, made the transition initially to director of basketball operations for the Mad Ants, and then got the assistant GM role. And then fortunately still climbing the ladder little by little, and we got the GM title. So that's without going on for too long, that's kind of the path and a little bit of history of how I've got to be here.
Well, congrats on the promotion. I mean,
Thank you very much.
Yeah. So I guess take us back to, you said you dealt with the Celtics. Like, how was getting your foot in the door? Like, how was that going to, arguably one of the most historic franchises in the NBA? Like, how was that?
Yeah, it's a great question. At the time, I was 18 and growing up in Maine, New England. The Celtics are everybody's team, so I was a diehard Celtics fan. And at the time, it seemed like a dream come true to be able to say, I no longer am I paying to go to the games. I'm in there and helping out. And granted, I had no fingerprint on the team or the organization, but it was like I could at least, say that I was there and a little part of it. It was cool. So I was actually my freshman year of college was 2007, 2008. And I'm a diehard KG fan, grew up a, huge Garnett fan. And so that was the first year. So I got to be around a championship program, seeing, the legends like KG, Pierce, Ray Allen, how they went to work every day. As part of what I was helping with, I was privy to get into the arena like about 3 hours before tip. So it was before fans got in. It was when sometimes the visiting team was there, but it was always the Celtics getting their work in. And it was just like you just had a great sense of that this was a different group than obviously because it was a championship caliber team. So just being able to see that firsthand, especially that young, and then, like I said, I tried to ask as many questions to as many people as I could. I'm sure they're like, who is this kid? How is he still getting in the arena every game? But trying my best to kind of tiptoe that line of not being annoying, but also trying to, expand my own knowledge of the sport and how they put that team together, and, the culture of a group like that, and how there's just so many moving parts. So it was pretty special. And then that, I mean, trying to think, I don't remember the exact, the records off the top of my head, but I mean, I feel like during the course of my 4 years in the Garden, I maybe saw, maybe 10 losses. I mean, those were some serious teams. So, with that, I think I started to appreciate the fact of like which I'm using now, or hoping to use now, as I continue to climb. It's like understanding that it's those little pieces of the team. It's like the PJ Browns, the James Posies, the Eddie House, like those guys just made such a huge impact. It wasn't just, the big three and, the rest of the starting five. So that was pretty cool to see firsthand, especially at that time, because I was, still such a diehard Celtics fan. It was neat.
The big baby Davises of the world and all that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yes. Everybody from Scott Pollard, Gabe Pruitt. I could go on and on.
I mean, all I'm gonna say is, I'm a Lakers fan, so I'm a little upset that the Celtics took one from Kobe before he, rest in peace, Kobe. But that's always that team was. I mean, I was happy for KG to get one finally, because I was like,
for sure.
Definitely took him long enough, and Paul Pierce and Ray, and then just the whole aftermath of all that. But it was good to see that for him. But still, as a Laker fan, it hurt me, because I'm like, that should be our championship, not theirs. But we got it back, though. We got it back. So that's all that's matters. That's all that matters.
Some historic battles, that's for sure. Hey, I'll never. That's a feeling I'll never forget. I was, by that point, I was 19. It was, just after my freshman year. I was in the Garden for Game 6 when the Celtics won. It was just like, I definitely see it from the Lakers side that cuts deep. But it was a special moment for sure.
Did you have any player that you loved talking with?
Ooh, that's a good question. I think, at that time, those guys were so high level. It was tough to build, even seeing them, 40 games a year. It was tough to build up any type of rapport with the top guys. But yeah, I mean, Big Baby, like you said, touching on that one, he was so personable and willing to really answer questions. And Scott Pollard was a guy that he was open to sharing some wisdom at the time. Trying to think of some. Leon Poe was fantastic. He ended up actually winning one of those games for the Celts in that final stretch in 2008. So those were some of the, they were the younger guys. Also tried my best to ask Sam Cassell as many questions as possible, just because, he had been through everything by that point. And he always had some wisdom. And it was a coaching staff too. I mean, I said, Coach Rivers, any chance I had time to see him, he was great. Some of the support staff, like Clifford Ray, who played in the league way back in the day, he's been on a ton of coaching staffs. Armand Hill, who played at an Ivy League school, which was impressive, and played in the league for a little while. And now he's actually on the staff at IU down in Bloomington. So, just fantastic guys, fantastic group of people. And they were open to sharing some great advice to a young kid that was just trying to break in.
That's anytime you get those types of advice, and just have those people to spend a little bit of your time, it goes a long way. I mean, obviously it goes a long way, because look at you now. You're now the GM of the Mad Ants. A lot of people may consider that a small thing, but I look at it as a big thing. You're in control. Like, what was it like getting that promotion? Like, the last 3 weeks you mentioned it's been a whirlwind. What are some of the things you had to go through? How did the promotion come about? And what's been your thoughts on the position so far, being 3 weeks in?
Yeah, it has been a lot. I think the transition, in addition just to the season starting up and the things that COVID kind of throws into the mix, and we're also transitioning this year. We're based out of Indianapolis. From the past, we've been based out of Fort Wayne. I think just due to COVID, it just makes more sense, because we're following all the same protocols as the NBA. So we can be here in the building, have the opportunity to use Pacers facilities, and then next year we'll figure it back out. But so it's just like there's been a lot of moving parts early. I'd be remiss if I didn't say a huge thank you to Brian Levy, who I worked under, who was our previous GM. He taught me, more than I could ever describe or explain. And fortunately, we all got promoted. He got a bump up. Now he's a full-time pro scout with the Pacers, which is huge. And still, he picks up my call anytime I give him a ring, just to ask questions and bounce ideas off of, because he's been in the G League for, it was like 8 or 9 years. So he's literally seen it all, and just a great voice. So I think it's, transition from that, pretty big shoes to fill, with a guy who had been, like I said, through everything and had a great sense of what to do and players to bring in, and tremendous relationships with agents and really players as well. And, understood overseas leagues, and just kind of understood the game, how to play the game, getting guys in and convincing returners to come back. So it's just now taking the step into the lead role here. It's just understanding how I want to put my spin on that, put our roster together. That's the coolest part, just having the final say on a lot of these things. Hiring our staff, working with our head coach now to get the best people possible with our support staff, assistant coaches, trainers, part-time basketball assistants, strength coaches, everything like that. And I'm very fortunate to our new assistant GM, Tim Brown, who's been with the Pacers for a while. He's stepping into that role. He's been a huge help over these 3 weeks, just with a lot of logistical and kind of all the behind the scenes stuff that as a fan, you really don't see, but it's big time to get to the games and have a team together. So I think it's definitely exciting is the biggest word, that comes to mind when I got offered the position. Obviously, I was like ecstatic, even though, that's what I've been working for, certainly to kind of take that step, but you never actually believe it's going to happen until you hear those words. So when I got to sign the contract, I was like, man, it's a step in the right direction and a dream position and a stepping stone, hopefully to continue to grow in this league. So long-winded answer, but hopefully that shed a little bit of light on it.
I would say also, I mean, take us back to, you being from Maine, kind of moving, I guess, Fort Wayne and kind of in the Indy. Like, is it, you said small town, or like, how is it different from home from here?
Yeah, that's a great question too. It's drastically different. It's from a small coastal town right on the Canadian border. So like my bedroom window growing up, I could see Canada.
Wow.
So it's on the coast, but it's way up there. So the closest airport is 2 miles or 2 hours away. Closest we did have a small movie theater, but like if you wanted to go to a mall or anything like that, it's at least 2 hours away. I graduated with, I think, 48 kids from my high school. So it's just, wow. It was small town for sure. But there's no place else that I'd rather be from. As I always kind of wondered growing up, I'm like, man, how am I going to stack up against some of these other people competing for the same jobs who, maybe grew up in cities and had a chance to be privy to some different opportunities. But that's never once been a hindrance. I think it's been a huge advantage for me, and the support from my hometown is pretty cool. Like, I don't know, it's amazing. Basketball runs deep in Maine, which is kind of, I think, an under the radar state. But when I came here to Indiana, that was one similarity. I was amazed. I mean, obviously everybody lives, breathes, sleeps, eat hoops here. The Hoosiers, that kind of, I don't know, mantra or whatever coming in here, like it's hoops, man. And it's the same growing up in Maine. So that was cool. I have a lot of similarities there. Definitely miss the water. That's a huge thing. Both the ocean and lakes, just different here, but
you should have brought it with you.
I know. Yeah. I would.
Or fresh seafood, I would say too.
Yes. Fresh. Yeah. I mean, so a lot of buddies back home are lobster fishermen. Yeah. It's like, that's a profession. So when I was home over the summers, my buddy we went out a couple times on his lobster boat, which was amazing. It's just like, you scratch the edge of the water and then you come back here and you can deal with lower key winters, which is nice. So it's a trade-off.
Yeah. I was going to say, is the winters worse from being in Maine to here, or is it about the same?
No, they're big time. It's the snow, shoot, I'll probably get a call from my parents over the next couple of weeks and the first snow will hit. I remember all the time growing up, there was always snow on the ground for like Halloween. So our costumes had to be warm, or had to, or at least throw a winter coat on over your costume. So that always interfered with how much candy we'd get. But yeah. And they're a lot of snow, a lot of ice, and they last forever. It's brutal. So big difference. I could deal with a few snowstorms here in Indy.
Yeah, it's not that like, so it snows, but I'm sure it doesn't get as bad as what you're used to in Maine. So plus you've been here for a while now, so you already know what to expect at this point.
Yeah, I'm accustomed. Fortunately, I've been able to get home for Christmas every year since I've worked here. And it's like every time I fly in, there's a running joke. It was every single time I flew back home, there was some issues with a flight that was snow related or weather related, or ice related. It's just like, is it worth it? It's just like you just book ahead knowing that you got to look at 3 different flight options because you're going to be on that last one anyway.
That's why you start early. You shoot for the early possible flight so that doesn't work out. You got multiple chances to try to make it home.
That's right. Yep. Yeah. We always joke with our players too, coming back after any kind of break. It's like, you got to plan ahead. We don't accept weather issues as any form of, like, if you're late for practice or whatever. So if that's the case, expect those fines. And I've had to pay up a couple times just dealing with the same thing.
So speaking of the players, so you was part of the NBA, like the NBA Development League before it actually became the D League and then the G League and stuff like that. So what has it been like to see the G League and see it grown over the past years that you've been involved in?
It's been tremendous. It's a really good question, because I was just talking to one of our assistant coaches back when I was with the Red Claws. Daniel Marshall, just got hired by the Greensboro Swarm.
Bulls.
Yeah.
Former Cleveland Cavalier leader.
Yep, that too.
Yep. He was all-time guy, and again, a wonderful person that I've been able to work with over the years, and has taught me a lot, especially from the player angle. But we were just joking, like, the year that we worked there compared to now, it's not even the same league. It's so much more legitimized now. With everything from little stuff like housing, travel, per diem, hotels on the road, all that kind of operational stuff. And then certainly the on-court development component, there's just so much more focus, because so many more, I'm not sure what the exact statistic is of NBA players that have played in the G League, but I mean, it's pretty high, 70 plus, might be even more now. So it's like, NBA teams recognize how important the G League is for the success of their organizations, and just in the day-to-day, improvement of players and also staff as well. So it's been cool to take a step back, especially this last couple of weeks. All those things have been crazy. Take a step back and just, like, truly appreciate how much the league has grown and how much emphasis the NBA has put on the G League, but teams as well.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to think, like, the hotels back then, it was, two guys to a room in, like, a Motel 6 or even worse, and it's like, sometimes the gyms didn't have heat, and, you name it. But now, I mean, to use our organization as example, I mean, guys are going to come in and use legitimate pacer. This is a multi-million-dollar facility, and these guys are going to have access to it 24/7, which is fantastic. But it's such an important piece to see these guys that spend time in the G League, grind it out, work their way up, and then get rewarded with, NBA contracts. But it's all part of that journey.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, even I just think about where the Manats play, and at the Coliseum. Like, I mean, that's a really nice facility. Like, and I mean, it's also pretty historic and iconic to Fort Wayne. So that kind of leads me to ask, what do you think that of what does the Manats mean to Fort Wayne?
I think it means a lot. I think you hit it on the head with the historic, mark, going back to, again, we were just talking about it yesterday. I was actually in Fort Wayne speaking at a season ticket holder event, and we're just kind of reminiscing some old stories about, like, the Zollner Pistons and, everything like that. I think the first NBA All-Star game was played at the Coliseum in Fort Wayne, which is kind of a little known fact. So professional basketball has always been there. Obviously the impact of basketball on the state, like we said earlier, is tremendous, but it's even, you kind of zoom in a little bit on just Fort Wayne itself, and even just the historical component of the name. I don't think a lot of people know what the Mad Ant name is from, and then you start talking about that and you're like, man, yeah, this is in the roots of the city, which is fun. So yeah, it's just professional basketball has always been in the city, and I feel like it always will be.
So let me ask this. So, like, I know the Mad Ants always host, like, local tryouts for, like, local talent, blah, blah, blah. Like, I guess I've always wanted to know the numbers of how many of those players actually from those tryouts actually do make it. I know one was DJ McCall, played last year or a couple years ago, maybe. Yeah. But maybe you could give us more of an insight of numbers and, that type of things.
Yeah, that's one of the neat components of the G League, is that, there's different avenues to make the league. It's not just NBA assignments or two ways or, going through the G League draft, but yeah, that open tryout is a great avenue for high level players to be able to make teams. And it's I think it plays the players' advantages, just as much as teams, because it's fit. You're with the team that wants you, and they understand how you're going to fit in with the team. So normally every year we hold an open tryout, and it attracts talent from certainly, I mean, just being in Fort Wayne, there's so many major cities that are close within driving distance. So I mean, we get some high level players, but then even 2 or 3 years ago, I think it coincided with that 2K, like My Player, where the Mad Ants.
Oh, I was going to ask you that too. Yeah, about that.
Yeah. So all of a sudden we got an influx of international players. It was nuts. We had it was Egypt, Japan, Croatia, maybe Mexico. Like it was crazy. We were wondering, like, how did these guys hear about this open trial? But I guess it was all 2K based, which was pretty amazing. So anyway, they came and tried out, but we've at least since the Pacers bought the team, and I think even before that, there's always been at least one player that has been on the regular season roster for the full season from the open tryout. Like you said, DJ was the most recent guy. He came in after a stellar career at IUPUI, and wasn't exactly sure how he's going to find his way, or if he wanted to go GLeague or overseas or whatever it was. And he came in and man, he impressed the heck out of us in that open tryout and showed that, like, man, this guy belongs. So fortunately that worked out for us. He had a great rookie year, despite some injuries, but it's like you can find those kind of diamonds in the rough through that avenue. So unfortunately this year, some teams are still doing the open trial, but I think COVID has just presented so many hurdles. And I think we just decided, at least from an organization and kind of that health and safety standpoint, like it just didn't make sense to have, a couple hundred guys or 100 guys in a gym. And then the next day our coaching staff's got to be around Pacer players, or, the next week or whenever it was. Right. So unfortunately, it's just, again, COVID kind of looms over us and those things. But yeah, normally get some, I mean, there's guys that come in that have legitimate international experience, local guys that played at high level D1 programs, or even then you find some sneaky ones that either play D2 or D3, and like maybe they just didn't have that opportunity, but this is their chance to get in front of some professional coaches and scouts and front office execs, and can find their niche and find that avenue to get into the league. So it's pretty cool.
So with the 2K, well, you brought it up, but did they contact y'all at all about that, or was it just like spur of the moment? Because like when I seen it and I played it, me and my friends like, oh, they not about to do the city like that. Like it don't look like that. Like, come on now, that's crazy.
Yeah, I think there was some negative feedback on that end about how they portrayed Fort Wayne. But they made up for it. I think 2K sponsored it's either like a Y or a youth center somewhere, and then paid for some outdoor courts in Fort Wayne. So, but I think the random connection with how it came to be Mad Ants is this is what I heard anyway, I'm not sure, but one of the creators is from Fort Wayne originally. One of the guys that works for 2K.
That would make sense, but that's crazy.
No, it wouldn't. No, it wouldn't, because he wouldn't do a city like that. That's wrong. That's wrong. That's wrong.
It was wrong, but see, like, look, Evil Genius be like, I'm gonna show you what I think of the city. Put it in 2K. Like, it's possible.
Yeah, and it worked. I mean, I think I'm not involved with all the business side stuff, but I think I feel like I heard some rumors that it's like all of a sudden Fort Wayne Mad Ant gear from the website is selling and across the country, and like I said, with the international guys coming in, it's like it got the name recognition out there. I think a lot of people didn't know that it was that the Mad Ants were necessarily a thing or whatever it was, but I was bummed that they didn't include, I think at the time, or I know at the time, like Coach Gansey was our head coach, and I was like, man, they could at least gotten some likeness of him, instead of just some random guy on the sideline and whatever else. But pretty cool still to be included.
Yeah. I mean, the bus broke down, like just a whole bunch of stuff that they did that I wasn't okay with. Being a Fort Wayne native, I was pretty pissed off. I'm gonna just say that.
It was the fact that they showed like Fort Wayne and it was like a desert around them. That's why I lost it. I was like, bro, they ain't have to do them like that. Like,
well, the cornfields made sense. Like I got that, but then it was a desolate wasteland as if no one lives.
That's what I'm talking about. Like,
yeah, it was rough. It was rough.
People would be pleasantly surprised if they come to Fort Wayne if that was their first intro. Man, like I said, just being up there yesterday, I hadn't been in the city in a while. it's great with all the renovations downtown and the new restaurants popping up. I mean, it's a happening place now. You know, it's like little by little, but it's getting there. A bunch of the new apartments downtown. I mean, it's cool.
Yeah, I still hear that they're trying to build a basketball stadium, maybe for the Mad Ants downtown as well, to put everything centralized, move them out the Coliseum. But I just rumors, don't know if that's true or not.
Yeah, so I feel like I'm hearing new rumors all the time. I heard rumors about soccer, like maybe for a soccer stadium downtown, and you know, it's just it's exciting, and it seems like the infrastructure is there. They're putting the effort into to revitalize downtown, which is huge.
It is huge. So like I work downtown now, so I see all the changes, get a chance to see all the restaurants and stuff. So it's I'm excited for the city. Being from the south side of Chicago. So like this being here for like the past 11 years, I've seen the growth and the transition of the city. So it's, you know, it's moving along steady. Yeah, it's not where we want it to be, but it's good to know that it's getting there, you know.
Yeah, you can tell that there's a lot of Fort Wayne pride, you know, and every time we go back, there's something new, and it's exciting.
For sure. So going back to basketball real quick, what are some of the things that athletes need to do more of, and some of the things that athletes should do less of?
It's a tough one. You know, I think from the mindset of, you know, if you want to take it to the next level, regardless of what level you're at, it's just putting the work in and being consistent. I think whether it's talking to friends back home, you know, whose kids are maybe in middle school and going to make high school, or if it's some high school athletes that want to play in college or have those aspirations to play in college. And obviously, you know, as we get into the professional level, obviously prime example in the GLeague, guys want to make the NBA. It's just they think they're putting the work in, but they're not really putting the work in, or maybe it's not putting the right work in. We always say, you know, we're all familiar with the term gym rats. You know, guys, any players just staying in the gym, putting the work in, but a lot of times it's not doing the right work. So it's you end up just kind of wasting time. If you're just, you know, messing around, if you're getting shots up, you know, firing from half court, whatever else. But if you kind of pinpoint exactly what you want to do, figure out the best workout or what's going to help benefit you the most, and putting that workout, you can put the same amount of time in. Honestly, you can probably put less time in the gym, get in the classroom or something like that, if it's more focused. So I think that's one of the big things. And then the other question was, you know, what are they doing too much of?
Yeah, what should they do more of, and what should they do less of?
Yeah, I think I'm going to sound incredibly old school by saying this, but it's like less of the social media stuff, like, you know, pumping out workouts or just, you know, bragging that you're in the gym. Just get in the gym and just put the work in. I know I'd sound incredibly old saying that. I'm not that old, but
you didn't, because, you know, there's certain players that, you know, that put in work in the gym, but they don't really they don't translate over to the court. You know, we see them, you know, hitting their jumpers. I ain't gonna say who I'm talking about, but we see them hitting their jumpers, and they don't never transition to the game. We don't see it in the game. John looking at me like, who are you talking about? Like, all right,
who is you talking about? That's why you might as well put the name on.
I was talking about Ben Simmons.
Oh man. Don't
see. That's why we're gonna put the name out. See, Lord. Look, we have a GM.
So let's ask the GM this question. Okay, let's go down there. Okay, so CT, with Ben Simmons, for instance, you see the debacle in Philly, right? How would you?
Sadly, I can't talk on other teams. I'll be breaking the NBA rules. So
I'll leave it be. All I was gonna say is, how would you handle it? That's all I was gonna say. But I'll leave it be. I ain't gonna say nothing. I'll leave it be. We could talk about it.
Don't want tampering issues here.
Yeah. Oh yeah, you right. I ain't trying to get you in trouble.
That's why I said I wasn't
gonna get you in trouble. I'm not gonna get you in trouble.
That's why I said I wasn't gonna put it out there. Look, CT ain't grace us with his time. You know, we're not gonna get the man's in troubles. You know.
No, I'm not gonna get you in trouble. No, I'm not gonna do that. So okay.
You gonna
Okay,
make me
CT,
go back and
let's
edit
go
this out.
back then.
Clip.
Let's go back some more. All right. So was Ron Howard was he still with the Mad Ants when you first got there?
Not play well. So actually, my first year with the Pacers, my intern year, was when Ron got the training camp opportunity with the Pacers.
Okay.
So that's when I first got to meet Ron in 2012.
Gotcha.
Which seems like forever ago now, but that was like, even at that time, I didn't know the history of Mr. Mad Ant and just how good of a player he was, and I mean, historic numbers in Fort Wayne, but really just across the G League in general. I came in, I was like, man, this guy, he's great in training camp. Had seen that. I know he's with the Bucks and with a training camp deal at one time, and I'm not sure if he had another chance as well, but it was like, man, this guy can play. And then the more I was around, that respect and just the appreciation for what he did for a single organization.
Yeah.
Just his own career, kind of grew. And then now over the last few years, since Ron's helping out on our business side with some community engagement stuff, I've gotten to know Ron incredibly well. And Ron's the best.
Yeah. Good guy.
Great guy
for sure.
Yeah, Ron deserves the whole podcast himself, because
well, he the reason why I started liking the Mad Ants, because I mean, I would go to the games, I'm like, this dude dropping 30, like it's nothing out here.
Routinely. I mean, league MVP. The fact he's got his number retired by us, and he's the only guy in the G League to ever do it. And there's some serious talent that has played in the G League, but like his loyalty to the organization, and it worked out, and he figured it out. I mean, he's a huge resource too for our players. He's nice enough to speak to our guys when we get the teams come in, and he just kind of explains, like, it's all about, again, the work you put in. He's incredibly focused, and that led to a fantastic career in the G League, or D League at the time, and then overseas. He's a true success story.
Speaking of, since we're kind of on the topic of the G League, what's now that we've seen the G League grow to where it is today, what do you think is the next phase of improvement for the G League? Like, what do you see the G League going to next?
Yeah, I'm not sure if there's just one specific thing or one or two specific things. I think just as a whole, it's going to become continuously legitimized. More and more guys, like in our own program, guys like Edmund Sumner, O'Shea Brissett, who kind of fought and scratched their way to the top through the G League, and just proved that, they belong on an NBA roster. There's more and more guys like that. So I think, going back to my point earlier, organizations understand that, like, this is a true breeding ground for legitimate talent who can come in and contribute at the NBA level and help win games, and, eventually hopefully win championships. So I think it's just teams are going to understand and pump more resources in, and whether that's from the training side, with having a better weight room, access to more training materials, which, like I said, rewind, that hadn't been a thing in the past, or just the travel component where, we could hear some horror stories from Ron, I'm sure, when he first started playing, like bus trips to who knows where. Now it's like, all right, we'll spend a little bit more money, we'll get you on a flight. So I think it's just, it's going in that angle. And I can see, it's kind of my own personal opinion, the next collective bargaining agreement that comes along, I think the G League now will be included in that at the NBA level. So I can see, maybe salaries increase. It's increased some, especially just over the past like 5 years. So I think, that's the trend that's going to continue.
So what's the outlook for the Mad Ants this year? What we looking at?
Well, knock on wood, it'll be good. We're working hard now to piece together our team. We've got a few guys on Exhibit 10 contracts right now that are in Pacers camp. If they don't make the Pacers team, that's the ultimate goal, obviously, and we understand that. But if they don't, just because of position or, whatever it may be, that then they'll be allocated to the Mad Ants, which is great. So we got Nate Hinton was on a two-way last year with Dallas. So he's got a great relationship with Coach Carlisle. He's here on Exhibit 10 deal. Terry Taylor, standout rookie from Austin P, OVC Player of the Year last year, and his college resume speaks for itself. Then Kiefer Sykes, a veteran point guard who's had a great career overseas and wants to give the NBA a try to stay stateside, ultimately NBA, if not, then G League. So we're pumped. Those guys and our two-way guys, Jerron Giroux and Dwayne Washington. The Pacers have come in, and the two-way spot it's been great to see the growth there so my first year working in the G League, that was the first year that the two-way contracts had come into play. So I'm just seeing how teams utilize that to the utmost, and guys, really come in and contribute at the NBA level on one night, and then they're back, dominating or at least playing their role to a really high level in the G League the next night. So with those guys, then we're working on trying to see some of our returners who we've had in the past, if they're looking to go overseas, to get that payday or come back, play for us and give it, another shot to stay stateside and hopefully make the NBA. But I think the biggest thing, we have this mantra, it's better basketball situation. That's what we continue to strive, and we just kind of push for not just players, but staff as well. But kind of what I mean by that, especially for players, if you come in one season and, if you're a role player or kind of a fringe bench guy, we want to put the work in, help you improve, help you develop. And if you come back the next year, you're a starter. And if you're a starter contributing every night, we want to help you develop. And then you're the guy getting that NBA call up. You're having the NBA opportunity. Or if you're a starter and, maybe the NBA isn't the route, then you can get that huge contract playing a strong league overseas in Europe or wherever, and get that financial stability for your family. And that, like I said, goes for staff as well. If you come in, you're an intern the first year, we want to help you develop, put the work in, come back the next year, you're full-time staff. Or if you're an assistant coach, then you come back. If the head coach opportunity is there, whether with us or somebody else, take that step or get in on an NBA staff full-time. So that's something that we'll continuously stress, just better basketball situation. So that's the ultimate goal for all of our guys.
That's a great goal to have. Speaking of which, so do you have any advice that you could give to people that is trying to progress or make it into the sports industry or just get into the industry? What's some advice that you can give to the audience and listeners that may be striving to enter the sports industry or that's in it but just trying to figure out what to do next?
Yeah, it's something I get asked quite frequently, and that's, it makes me appreciate even more, given the position that I'm in. It's a lot of people would love to be where I'm at, and I certainly don't lose sight of that. That's what, I continue to work the hardest that I possibly can, just to kind of keep that rolling. But I would say some of the biggest things, it's looking at yourself and finding out how you add value to an organization. Talk to a lot of young candidates, whether it's either coming out of college or after an internship or, just trying to change careers, break into something that they truly love. A lot of people will say, I'm willing to do anything. I'll do anything. Just give me an opportunity, which is great. And I think we probably all feel that way. But it's like, if you can kind of pinpoint exactly what you want to do, what you're most passionate about, then that's how you add value to an organization. So maybe, it's not just, hey, I'll come in and do anything, because that's expected if you're an entry level intern, position. So it's, if you love scouting, practice, get some experience on your resume, figure out how you can do that to the best of your ability. If it's coaching, how do you get on the court with X's and O's, or player development, or if it's front office wise, how do you study the salary cap, study players, put together rosters. So it's whatever's more meaningful to you. Or analytics is another great one. That's a perfect example. So how do you kind of find what you're most interested in, and then how does that add value to an organization? I think those are probably a couple of the biggest advice. And I think I had heard that early on. And I think that proved to be beneficial for me. Instead of, obviously I came in and did anything I could, talking back to the G League days with wearing embarrassingly wearing the mascot, or just selling tickets and doing on court stuff. But it's like, but I knew my true passion was always on the front office side. I didn't really have the desire to be going to coaching. I didn't really, I didn't see the game as the X's and O's. I was more like, how do we put together a strong culture? How do we put together a roster construction, the scouting component, and all that kind of thing. So I always try to find myself in a position where I would learn the most, and then could learn more, and then figure out how to add value from that side to an organization.
How was it wearing the mascot costume?
Yeah, it was rough.
I'm
I think that's the thing.
I had to ask.
I'm 6'3", and I think that thing was made for someone that was like 5'8". So it was
Oh man.
A
it
little
was tough.
tight.
It was a little tight, and I remember, yeah, scared some poor kids. I think they're used to, a little bit shorter mascots. This huge lobster comes rolling into their school or whatever outfit. It was bad. One of the funniest things too about that, people always ask, and I never really thought about it. Now I think about it all the time, every time I see mascots, just because, it's like this, it's I don't know, it's just something different. But it's like people get pictures taken with mascots. I was curious, like, are the guys behind or women behind the mascot?
Smiling.
Are you smiling? Yeah. I caught myself. I did to start, and then I was like, why am I doing this? It's just weird. But that was the it's funny, man. I haven't talked about that in a long time, but that was the one at, I was 22 struggling, and that was the way I'd get paid. Every time I wore it, they'd throw me a little extra cash, so that would help pay rent, or I'd get a pizza at the end of the week. It was it's bad thinking back to that.
But I mean, it's good because, like, you can always say, well, I was at that point, I was dead. Like, I was that person. I know what that is. Like, so I get it, So,
Yeah.
And I think people
grind.
Young people, some young people just look at it and say, oh, he's a GM now. Like, oh, he's big time. Like, and it's like, no, you heard him said he was in that mascot costume. So he started from the bottom. Like, that's where he was at.
Yeah, I think, and that's another point, just on the advice standpoint. Someone told me early, I was probably in college or maybe growing up, it was like, no job's too small. No matter what your title is, you can't get caught up in titles or what you think your self-worth is. Like, if something has to get done or someone asks you to do something, put your pride to the side, if that's playing a role, and just get the job done.
Well said. Well said. Real quick, so I think we got a couple more questions before we go into the rapid fire stuff. But does analytics at all like impact your decision making from a GM standpoint?
Certainly. Yeah, I think everybody's opinion is different. Some teams and some individuals are 100% analytics. Some are, a little more old school, and they just don't support it. They strictly go off the eye test. But I like to think of myself as a great combination of in between. I understand that numbers don't lie, but you also gotta have the component of watching a player and seeing how they play. It's like, you can be the best shooter in the world, but if you have no speed, or no size to ever get that shot off, what difference does it make? So it's got to be a combination of the two. So we're fortunate with a fantastic analytic department through the Pacers, who are willing to help us out at the GLeague level with a myriad of projects, and really anything that we ask. They'll play a role in, like, the GLeague draft. We'll go through some prospects that we really like. We'll have them run some numbers and do some projects, plug their stats into their algorithms and whatever else, and see what spits out on the other side. That certainly plays a role, but still, at the end of the day, I like to think that our scouting staff and just our basketball personnel staff, like, if you look at a guy, you can, they either pass or fail the eye test. If they can play, but the numbers certainly support that. I always think of it like like a science project. You can have the hypotheses, what you think is the truth, but if you have the numbers to back it up, then that only helps your argument, or on the reverse, it hurts your argument. So that's how I look at it. It's got to be a perfect marriage of the two.
Gotcha. Yeah, I love analytics, so I'm a big nerd at heart. So I love numbers. I'm an engineer, and Juwan is also in the IT field, so we're kind of small nerds at heart, but we always love sport. He gave me the eye roll, like, bro, this boy just called me a nerd. I saw it.
I'm not a big analytic person. Like, I'm more with, I need to, it's a good balance of the two. Like, some people is like all analytics, and it's like, he ain't even that good. Like, you're not good. Like,
I feel that. Go ahead, CT.
I was just going to say, it's amazing to see how some of these players are specialists, in certain characteristics, whether, like, shooting's obviously the biggest one, but, sometimes it's steals or blocks, or, even just the little, like the hockey assists, the pass to get the assist, to get the wide open shot. And it's amazing you can find numbers to pinpoint all of those things. And if you have enough time, I mean, the data is immense, right? Like there's numbers for everything. So then it's just trying to figure out, how do I harness that to make sense of it? And that's why, I mean, we're, like I said, fortunate with such a fantastic analytic program, because I mean, if you wanted to, both your guys' professions, it's the same thing. You could stare at numbers for something different for forever, for infamy. Yeah. But it's like, how do you kind of focus that in to make sense of it all? And that's why, I'm incredibly thankful. Unfortunately, I'm not very number centric myself. That's not really how my brain works. So thankfully, there's people in the room that are much smarter than me that can help out with that stuff.
Makes sense. We saw that you have that's what's called the Blue Devil Fund. You want to talk about that?
Yeah, no, I'd love to. So my high school mascot, Blue Devil. So just kind of ties to my hometown, but small nonprofit I founded back in 2010, just as kind of a way to try to raise money in my hometown. Like I said, it's a small, very close-knit hometown that loves basketball. So I want to try to take a pairing of both things, and raise some awareness for some different charitable efforts throughout my hometown, but then also use, some fun through the game of basketball to raise money. So thankfully to, trying to think of some of the causes that we do, but mainly we do a couple of charity basketball games every summer, like alumni basketball games for my high school, which is, it's so much fun. It still amazes me that people from my hometown like love to come watch us old guys and girls still come out and play. Like I think it just, trip down memory lane, which is awesome, helps raise money. All the money's raised for charity, which is cool. And 3 years ago, started doing a golf outing, little country club in my hometown, which is a blast. It kind of pairs hoops and golf together. On one of the holes, we roll a basketball hoop out there, and then everyone on the team gets to shoot. And if you do, like, you move up 150 yards or something like that, and it's still the same par for the hole. So it's a lot of fun. And then we sponsor an after-school basketball program in the elementary school that I went to. It's called Bouncing Blue Devil. It's just a way to kind of teach kids about the basics, kind of fundamentals, get them to fall in love with the game. And that's pretty cool. It's taught by players that are on the Lady Blue Devils and the Blue Devil teams, the high school teams. So they go back. It also kind of a way to try to teach them about giving back to the community, which is cool. And then we do a holiday book drive. We've donated thousands of books to schools across my home county, not just my hometown, which is cool. We do that around the holidays. Always help out with, a myriad of different kind of charitable events. We donate turkeys and toys at the holidays, and you name it, we try to do it. And thankfully to the support, I don't really push this out there too much, but we've raised over $100,000 over the years to kind of pump back into the community, which I'm definitely proud of. Thank you. Yeah, definitely proud of, but it's fun. And it's cool. Like it continues to grow year after year, which is pretty neat. It just started with the thing like, hey, I always want to love to play with my buddies from back home. And if we can see as many people, old fans, as we can, raise some money for a good charity, good cause, best of both worlds. And it's just kind of more from there, which is pretty cool.
So okay, I'm gonna ask this. Did you wear that costume too in high school?
No, I did not. No, fortunately, I was playing in high school. I got we actually had a pretty good run for a small school. My junior and senior year, we went undefeated, back-to-back state champions. So I got to ride off into the sunset in high school, and then I did play at college in Boston. So it was cool. Yeah, no time for mascot wearing. I was on the court, fortunately, at those times.
That's cool. Just had to throw that in there. Just to throw it in there, just throw it in there.
Totally fair.
I thought about it. I was like, mascot. See, everything is rooted to a mascot. I'm starting to wonder things. But man, it's been a blast. So while we got a light mood, we're gonna go ahead and switch over to the game within the game segment, which we call it's our rapid fire round. So my question for you, CT, is: are you ready to play?
Born ready.
All right. We'll find out. All right. First question is, do you prefer chocolate chip cookies or oatmeal raisin?
Chocolate chip all day.
At 6. Just letting you know that's 6.
I've been losing this battle since you hopped on. I think I may need to.
Hey.
We gotta revamp some things.
All right. So TV shows or movies?
Ooh, I'm a big movie guy. I don't watch a lot of TV unless it's games.
Favorite movie?
Wedding Crashers.
Owen Wilson and Vince Vaughn.
Yeah.
Classic. Classic. When that movie came out, me and my friends growing up, we quoted that movie for like the whole summer.
We still do, yeah. Whenever I get together with my college buddies, that's all we do. But that, and then on a more serious side, American Gangster. I love.
The Denzel joints. Okay. Yep. So, who your favorite actor or actress? Either one.
Man, I got to go with just because I like to keep the mood light, and I love sarcasm, so I love Vince Vaughn.
That's a good choice. Yeah. I'm not sure if you're able to answer this, but we'll ask it anyways. But we're gonna say top 5 in the NBA.
Oh, current?
Yeah, current or former, all time. You can spend it however you want it.
Okay, let's go. We'll go all time. Just my own personal list, so I'm sure I'll get a hard time, but in no specific order. But top 5 included in there is obviously MJ, Kobe, Larry, legend, Bill Russell, and Garnett.
You got 3 Celtics in there, man. Come on now. You got 3 Celtics. What's going on? There's 3 Celtics in there. You hear this? That's when he has 3 Celtics in there. What is he doing? 3 Celtics? 3? Jesus.
All right. Look, he included Bill, which I know I give respect for doing so because most people don't.
Yeah, but that's 3. I count 1, 3. Yes, that's 3. That is 3 Celtics.
I know. I can't. My loyalty to KG, and I get a lot of people give me a lot of hard time for that because there's different opinions on him. And I mean, Larry's especially being here in Indiana, I've got a whole new respect for Larry. He's the best to ever do it. But I guess I should include Reggie. If I'm a true company guy, I throw Reggie in there.
Oh man. Oh man.
But it's too hard. I mean, LeBron's in there too. That was, like I said, that was just my personal top 5 favorite. Maybe not 5 best.
No, it's your personal 5. We can't argue with you. You know,
I didn't say anything.
Respect to his top 5.
Yeah. Yep. Look, yep. Leave it be. Yep. All right, so I'm gonna jump here. What about VC versus T-Mac?
Oh man, that's a tough one. Rapid fire. I'm going with man, I love VC, but T-Mac he was unstoppable. He was so smooth. I think primetime VC probably wins, but I just if is it make it take it? I'll ask a follow-up question.
Yeah, make it take it.
T-Mac. If he hits that first shot, I just don't think anybody stops him.
Okay. Look, okay. I could agree with that.
Same here, no argument.
Man, I love both those guys. Whew. First ballot Hall of Famers.
For sure. Both changed the game.
Yeah. And I'm partial to VC too, because growing up on the Canadian border, we got just
right
a couple
there by Toronto.
Growing up, so I got to watch all the Celtics games. I got to watch all the Raptors games. That was that was prime time with those guys. So I love VC.
Okay. Let me ask you this. Who's your favorite crossover?
Oh man. That's a tough one.
I feel like I should give you some options. I feel bad.
Yeah. That's tough.
All right, so Steph, AI, Tim Hardaway.
Okay.
I'm
going
White Chocolate.
The UTEP 2-step going with Hardaway.
The second one. That's the second person that's been said Hardaway. I guess I need to go back and watch some more clips of Hardaway because I didn't watch the crossover. I wouldn't know.
Hardaway's crossover was iconic, man.
Yeah,
I was just the AI shake. I was just seeing the AI shook Jordan. I was like, hey, he won.
Yeah, it's funny though. Like you say those guys, and like being a basketball guy, you got like plays in your head, right? So it's of course it's that crossover AI had on Jordan at the top of the key. Gets that jumper. Jay Williams, white chocolate. All I think of is like that cross on the right side, and then he. I remember who it was on. I think it was on Gary Payton, and it kind of put that hesitation on, and then with that kind of funky little layup that he hit, like that's what I think of with him. Tim Hardaway just had, I mean, so many. So yeah, go just YouTube that after this. You'll be like, I get it.
Yeah.
He was going full speed every time, full speed, right in that crossover. He could do whatever he wanted.
And gets wherever he wanted.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm about to do some YouTubing after this.
Do that. But all right, if you can go pro at any sport other than basketball, what would it be?
Ooh. I love soccer growing up. I wasn't athletic enough to do it, but that'd be fun.
Okay. We talked about this before, but your favorite pair of shoe? I'm assuming the Jordan 7.
Yeah, I still go with the 7s. Yeah.
All right, so give me a top 5 shoe then. Top 5 shoes. Let's go there.
Ooh. Man, I love trying to think of I'm going to mispronounce it, but I remember like the first shoe that I had playing in high school, they were the high tops, the Hirax or I'm sounding terrible talking about these, but
the Hirachis.
Yeah. So I love
I remember
those. Yeah. And then then once I got to college, I was always Kobe's. Started playing, and once I finally got my ankle strong enough, I love the low top Kobe's. So any of those you throw out, those are in my tops. And man,
it's hard. Real quick, it's hard to play. I feel like it's hard to play in low tops. I don't see how people do it.
Well, I rolled my ankle in some Kobe's and I was done.
That's like I had major ankle issues in high school, so I always went high top, and I think I just kind of got my ankle stronger and started playing in lows, and I was like, man, I can't go back to high tops. But
yeah, I needed the boot after that.
I have those vivid memories of just tweaking now I can't do low tops. I got to do high tops. I'm too old, but also go back because I love KG. He had those, like his first signature shoe with Nikes. They were like, I don't think they were actually called Garnets, but they were the T-Wolves colors with kind of the white and blue. Yeah. I love those.
So what? So you got the 7s with the Jordans. What version of the Kobe's would you say is the go-to for you?
Ooh, man, I love the Kobe 5s. I really like those, if I'm remembering correctly.
Okay.
Yeah. But really, man, I mean, Kobe's were so comfortable too. Yes, I like those ones. That's why I like Jordans too, because you just either hoop in them or you can wear them.
You go wear them around, yeah. I rolled my ankle in the Kobe. What was those mentalities? The little, like the other ones that he had created on the side or whatever.
Yeah.
I had to switch to LeBron's with the soldier. I had to go with the boot up to the ankle high to make sure my ankle did never rolled again.
Yeah, those things are, man. Yeah, that's like those things are a tank. You're not getting hurt in those.
No, not a chance.
All right.
I really love the PGs too. The new
PG
PGs
shoes are nice. Yeah. PG
are
shoes
they really though?
They're really comfortable. And I know a lot of guys wear the Giannis, the Freaks. I haven't worn a pair, but I mean they look good.
That's true. They do.
I have to go look up what they look like, because right now I can't think of what they look like right now.
I haven't seen the new ones this year, but I'm sure with tomorrow, so I'll see some tomorrow.
Yeah, because PJ Tucker had his shoe before Giannis had the shoe, so that show you how good PJ Tucker is when it comes to getting shoes.
Oh man, yeah, strongest shoe game ever, I think. PJ Tucker.
Definitely. All right. If you could be a hype man for any artist, who would it be?
Oh man. I'm a huge Jay-Z guy, so I'm just going with Jay-Z.
What?
But I wouldn't have to work too hard.
Okay.
Okay, so favorite Jay-Z album.
Ooh, favorite album. So tough to pick a favorite one. I like so in college I got to see the Blueprint 3 out the tour. I think after like just hearing all those songs live, that cemented that for me. But I don't know. You can't really pick every single album's great, but seeing that one live, it was like I think that holds a special place for me.
Got you. Okay.
The Black Album too. I mean, that was kind of when I was growing up. That was like when that came out. That was playing in every locker room and every AAU tournament, and that's like pulls on the heartstrings as well.
All right. So any organization you would take over, who would you choose? Any. It doesn't have to be basketball. It could be any organization, anyone.
Oh, like current, or could it be any player of all time?
Any.
I think going hoops and build a team around Shaq.
Okay.
That's the most dominant in my mind. You could always pick Wilt, because Wilt transcends any generation too. But I think like all the stories that I've heard from guys that have played against Shaq and just been around him, like he could literally do whatever he wanted if he wanted to do it.
Yeah. So let me ask you this. What's your favorite sports moment that you've seen or witnessed?
Favorite one overall, it was definitely being there for the 2008 championship. Just, I actually I still keep a piece of the confetti in my wallet as good luck. Just like
man.
The whole environment.
That's dope.
Yeah, from seeing that from start to finish was great. But then I think back to like from my time here with the Pacers, Roy Hibbert got a tremendous block on Carmelo in the playoffs a few years ago, like pinned it on the backboard, and like that was really cool to see. Or Paul George's dunk on Birdman in the playoffs by like 2013 or 2014. Like, yeah, that's one for the books as well.
Nasty.
Yeah.
All right. I think this is the last question we have to wrap it up. You get a chance to take over any organization. It could be sports, basketball, it could be Chase Bank for all we care. Who do you choose?
Man. That's tough. With no constraints, you got so many options running through my head. I'll keep it simple. Pacers organization, Mr. Herb Simon at the helm.
Okay.
I'm following Mr. Simon.
Okay. Good choice. Good safe pick.
Good safe pick.
I'm curious though, who do you guys pick, or what do you guys pick?
Ooh. Man.
Mine's Apple.
He said yours is Apple. Okay.
I can make phones for everybody in the world. I'm good.
Yeah.
Man, who do I choose? I'm gonna stick to sports. And I'm gonna go back home. I'm going to take over the White Sox. That's what's at my heart right now. So
now, if I said sports, it'll be the Lakers.
Okay.
Dream job.
But CT, it's been a blast. But before we let you go, can you go ahead and tell the audience how they can follow you and keep up with your career and keep up with everything and all the moves that you're doing?
For sure. Yeah. If you want some incredibly boring content, follow me on Twitter. It's at ctaylor21 or catch me on Instagram. On there occasionally it's CT Taylor 21. Of course, please follow the Mad Ants across social media platforms. That's the best way to keep up with all the moves and how we're doing throughout the season. Really appreciate you guys having me on, Desmond and Juwan. This was definitely fun. So again, I apologize for being a few minutes late, but thank you guys. This was awesome.
Thank you.
Oh yeah, no problem. Thank you. And to all the listeners and subscribers out there, we really appreciate you guys sharing, retweeting, liking, and commenting on everything. It does so much for us. So please continue to do so. If you haven't already, please give us a follow on Twitter. It's CTG_pod. On Instagram, it is capturing_the_game_pod. Facebook is just Capturing the Game podcast, and YouTube is just Capturing the Game podcast. Like I said, every subscriber, Facebook, like, tweet, anything, all of it helps. We can also be found on your favorite podcast platforms, whether it's Google Podcasts, Spotify, Apple Podcasts for all the iPhone people out there. I'll try to not to. I'm an Android person, so but yeah. Thank you for all the love, listeners, and all the support thus far. So we appreciate everything. Once again, stay tuned for another episode next week, Thursday.